Nearly 1,000 criminals could be free to walk the streets just because they're old enough.
Listen to this. The elder parole bill would allow inmates to be eligible for parole once they turn 55 and have served 15 years of their sentence.
Automatic eligibility. Joining us now to react, New York City GOP Councilman Joe Borelli. Joe, thanks for coming back to the show.
Morning.
So obviously it's still at the parole board's discretion, but you get, if you kill somebody when you're 40 years old, after 15 years, you get an automatic shot of parole.
Right. Well, that's kind of the crux of it, right? These are not people who stole a candy bar. They're not people who smoked a joint and got caught. You are only in jail for 15 years when you're 55 years old. If you've done sort of a heinous crime that 15 years prior, a judge and jury thought you deserved to be put away for almost the remainder of your life. We're talking about Class A felonies, Class B felonies, murderers, rapists, child molesters, all these things. All these people would be eligible for parole under this bill. The crazy part, and I know we've covered this on the show before, is that the New York State Parole Board isn't really a parole board. It's a rubber stamp for cop killers, for people who've murdered people. So when they say eligibility of parole, given the history of this state's parole board, we should all be concerned that this is going to be almost an amnesty program.
That was going to be one of my questions to you is you know, we're talking about hardcore criminals here. 900 people would be eligible for parole under this bill if it becomes a law. And we're talking about a man who raped and killed an 11-year-old in the Bronx, someone who killed 9 women on Long Island in New York City. You think that even if they're eligible for parole, the parole board would then release them? Yeah.
I mean, you know, look who the sponsor of the bill in the Senate pointed to as an example of who we should be letting out. A woman named Judith Clark, who in the process of the crime she was committing, she killed police officers. This is someone who most of us back here on planet Earth, and most of us in New York State really, think that should be in jail for the remainder of their life. These are families that aren't going to get their loved one back when they turn 55 or after 15 years. I think this is misguided, but it's just the New York State Democrats trying to win this contest for who could be the craziest.
Why is it 55? 55 ain't that old
That's
anymore.
Young.
I mean, that's just not that old.
You could still be on the beach.
65 or 75.
Sipping margaritas on the beach at 55, sure. Yeah. I mean, this is not, you know, 80 years old when people are on their last few days.
Yeah. So people who are in favor of this bill say that it would save taxpayers money because it's expensive to take care of older prison inmates. And they say that, you know, if the parole board finds that they have reformed their ways, they're no longer a danger to society, then we should believe them. You've debunked that parole board theory there. So what say you to at least the taxpayer part of that? You
know, point stipulated. Yeah, it is expensive to keep people against their will in a place that prevents the rest of us from getting raped or murdered or killed. And prison still has a punitive aspect of it. So we should be following through on the commitment we made to the victims years prior and keep these folks in jail for the remainder of their sentence.
Yeah.
They say murder has the lowest rate of recidivism.
Yeah, you know why?
Kill somebody, don't kill anybody again.
Because they're still in jail.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You
know, the first thing that I thought of when I saw this was, imagine being the mother, the father, the brother of somebody who was murdered, and you think that their killer is going to be in prison for the rest of their life. Imagine living in a state where then you find out that no longer is going to be the case. You got to think about those people, too.
We've seen this act before. This is a summation of the priorities of the Democratic Party in 2019. They care more about the inmates than the correction officers. They care more about the suspects than the cops. And with respect to this, they care more about the criminals than actually the victims who've suffered.
Yeah. Joe, thank you so much for breaking it down for us. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.